Zergulis. Um, I always had a dream to travel around the world since I was a little boy living in California. I used to hitchhike when I was 13 years old, and while I was hitchhiking, I liked meeting people, and I had this revelation that I was going to travel around the world. And one of the reasons for my travels was I wanted, every man, I believe, goes through some initiation rites. Like maybe if you're in Africa, to become a man, you kill a lion. Sometimes for men, they to become a man, they make love to a woman. For the Jewish people, they have bar mitzvahs. Every culture has a different way of when a man becomes a man. For me, my goal to become a man was to travel to the depths, the worst part of the world, and look death in the face, and if I could survive, I would become a man. So I planned to, for many years, through university, to travel around the world hitchhiking. And I was figuring I would live on $3 a day and go see the depths of the world. And I did. When I finished university, I started hitchhiking, and everywhere I went, something was happening. I was in Taiwan. Chiang Kai-shek died. This is going to be more than 3 minutes, but everywhere I was going, something was happening. I was in Korea. Americans were getting killed in Korea by the North Koreans. Sometimes I was in Iran. Americans were getting killed in Iran, and I was hitchhiking, and I was meeting people while I was traveling. One of the worst experiences that I ever had was in India. And when I was traveling in India, I was, like I said, traveling third class on an Indian train. And there was like 26 people in this train compartment. It was all clustered and everything. And all of a sudden, these Indians started to attack me about being American. I go, wait a minute. Why do you hate America? Our country gives you food, we give you food, and they say, it is your obligation. And I says, your country is overpopulated. Every child is a blessing of God. So I had an epiphany. It was the first time in my life I was defending the United States, because the United States was giving so much to India, and India was really a cesspool, because I was traveling in India. Really, if you saw a movie called Slumdog Millionaire, it was like that. I was living in the slums of India, traveling, and I was seeing like lepers who, had bubbles on their hands, and they would like lunge at me, trying to, in the country I thought was a basket case. And one big thing that happened to me in India while I was traveling on this train was had this epiphany about my whole attitude changed about the United States, because we were a country that is a very giving country, and we were being attacked by this country that was totally did not care about its people. And we came to this train station, and this little boy was waving a Coca-Cola bottle. And for me, at the point, I saw, this is America, a Coca-Cola bottle. I want to have a taste of America again, because, I just wanted to have a taste of America, because I was, under attack. It was 114 degrees Fahrenheit. It was very hot. And so this boy was waving this Coca-Cola bottle at me, and I gave him, like a few rupees, which was, for me, for $3 a day, that was a certain point of a lot of money for me to pay for a Coca-Cola. He opened it up, I grabbed it, and I drank it like, and it wasn't Coca-Cola. They had doctored the Coca-Cola with Ganges River water, with coloring. And by the time I had drunk it all, because I just swallowed it fast, I realized I was going to get sick. And that's about India. They always doctor their food. It's just a corrupt country. And I knew that I was going to get sick, and I almost died. I had lost 20 pounds in a week. I had amoebic dysentery. And I had to, through my travels, I had to live with this crazy bugs. So I had different adventures going through, India. And I can relate on another example. I was traveling in Afghanistan, and I was on this bus, and I was sick still from India, and I laid down on the bus, in the aisle of the bus, and we were going up the Khyber Pass on this bus, and this, I can always remember this Afghan guy, with a turban and a long beard, he goes, and he spits this big gob of ugly spit with gobs of junk onto the floor of the bus. And I'm laying down on the bus, and I'm in pain, and I see this bubble jiggling toward me, But I'm so sick in the stomach, I don't know what to do. Is this gob of whatever that came out of his mouth going to touch me or not? Oh. And we were going up the hill through the Khyber Pass.
A snail coming.
And then it was jiggling towards me. And I says, oh my God. I didn't know I couldn't get up. And then all of a sudden, we reached the crest and then it started to go down. So I was saved in that. I mean, that's one example of my travels that I had to deal with. And then, and then Beirut, for my travels, I was living very, very sparsely because I was hitchhiking too. I was hitchhiking in Iran and every place, but I was running out of money. And when I finally made it to Beirut, I had $20 in my pocket. And I knew I couldn't survive with $20. And there's a civil war that started in Beirut back in 1975. Fortunately, my brother, let me tell you, I was, dressed like an Afghan, and I had long hair, but I was emaciated after losing the weight from the dysentery, and I was completely covered with festering sores and stuff like that. So my brother nursed me back to health in Beirut. And I remember I had taken these photographs that were, nobody, back then, nobody really could, what I saw were amazing photographs that I had taken on my travels. And I had safe-kept the photographs, and, so when I would be in a safe place like Beirut, I thought Beirut used to be the Paris of the Middle East at one time. So I had taken the film that I had saved, and I had put it into a camera store to get it developed. And the pictures I had taken was, like I said, pictures that you never can ever see if you're an old person. It's only, like I said, it was pictures of, like I say, the lepers with their bubbles coming from their fingers and everything. It's unbelievable pictures traveling through Nepal, through Afghanistan. What happened? The bank next door to the camera shop blew up, and it blew up the store. And all my films, all my travels were destroyed. And that was one of my saddest part of my life. But again, one of the things is, it's crazy what happens in what was happening in Beirut, because sometimes these people would set up a bomb, and you could hear the rumble of a bomb, just shake the building, even though the bomb blew up, maybe 200 yards away from you. And then what was really sad was that the people that would come to save the people that were injured in the bomb, the terrorists had set up another bomb to blow up, delayed, to kill the people that were there. So I was in the middle of a civil war in Beirut, and I was trying to get out of Beirut. So I was trying to, my brother helped me to buy a ticket to, a bus ticket to Syria to Turkey. Well, unfortunately, I took the bus to the border, the Syrian border, and because I was American, they wouldn't let me cross. And I had a backpack, so I had to hitchhike back from the Syrian border in Lebanon back to Beirut. And my brother says, "Are you crazy?" You know, he was shocked to see that I was back in Beirut. So he arranged again for me to get an airline ticket to fly from Beirut to Greece. And from Beirut, there's only one road to the airport in Beirut. Have you been to Beirut? I don't know if you've been to Beirut. There's only one road from Beirut to the airport, and it's surrounded by the Palestinian camps. And so one of the things that was happening in Lebanon at the time during the Civil War was if you came up to a roadblock and you were the wrong religion, they would pull you out of the car and shoot you. So on my way to the airport, my driver was a Christian, Maronite Christian, and we were coming up to this roadblock that they were Palestinian kids, and they were setting up the roadblock with tires, and they were just starting to light the tires. That's what they normally do at the roadblocks. They set up tires and they put them on fire. So my taxi cab driver was not about to stop, because he figured if he stopped, they would pull him out and shoot, kill us. So he just drove right through the roadblock. He didn't care, just drove right through it. And the next thing I know was some tank came by, and I think he wiped out the people that were at the roadblock. I mean, we just drove. So that was my survival story of my trip. And I made it, I got on the airport, made it to Greece, and I met my girlfriend from America, and we traveled all over Europe.
In how many countries have you been? Did you ever count?
65.
65. If you would go back in time, let's say you are 20 again, what would you do differently?
I don't think I would do anything differently. It was a trip that you never forget. It was a trip that you never forget. I would have liked to have had more money, but then, again, the whole purpose of the trip, let me explain. Because I suffered so much and I lived on nothing, I can appreciate a glass of wine so much better than a millionaire who was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. My suffering and living the lowest of the low, living in the slums of India, seeing the decrepit, this disgusting life that they have, I can appreciate things so much more because I was at the bottom. I can appreciate things more than a millionaire can.
If you would give an advice to young American people from the US,
travel, collect experiences.
Would it be more difficult nowadays, 2018?
No, I think it's easier now to travel. I think it's a lot easier to travel. You have internet, it amazes me how I would survive, before in the old days. I mean, with the internet, you can travel Airbnb, you can do so many things. It's so much easier now to travel than before.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you very much for the story.
So, and I can't make up these stories. These things happen. Okay? I have a lot of stories that I've lived through and stuff. And I was once a millionaire, believe it or not, because
Yes.
I had a business. Yeah, I had a $4 million a year business at one time.
What kind of business?
I was import export. I was you can't believe this, but I did. I had 3 Rolls Royces. You know what a Rolls Royce is?
Yeah, I heard about it. I've seen it in movies.
I had 3.
And what were you trading in?
What happened?
I was betrayed by my ex-wife and
Oh.
con artist. And I lost everything. So you see, I've been poor and I've been very rich, and I lost it all. And I still have my house. I have my Airbnb, and I have my 3 sons that they're doing okay. I went through a lot of stuff in my life. I've had a lot of experiences. I had my own factory in Mexico. People don't believe. You look at me and says, oh, I can't even believe that I had a very big business at one time. I had a glass factory in Mexico. See, I used to, because let me explain to you. You know what an entrepreneur is?
Yeah, businessman.
No,
that
but
starts-
basically this is what an entrepreneur does. An entrepreneur collects experiences. And with the experiences that an entrepreneur has, he creates something new. You put different things together and he makes something new. I'll give you an example. Okay, basically most of my business travels. I traveled a lot extensively through Mexico. The Mexicans are very good, great artists, but they're very conservative. You have glass blowers that only blow glass, and you have metal workers, the artisans. They only work with metal. So in my travels, I met glass blowers, I met metal workers, I met people who made pots and different things. So what I did is I found the glass blowers and the metal workers, and I combined where the glass blowers would blow into a metal stand or a metal figurine, and they would blow the glass into the metal, and I would make different types of art. And my business, because nobody else was doing that. And if you imagine, I had 30 showrooms. I don't know if you know what a showroom is, but
Like exhibition? room?
exhibitions, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And another thing, why is McDonald's so famous? Why do they make so much money? Because they have thousands of stores, right? And each store makes maybe 1 penny for every hamburger, right? It's a multiplier effect. That's how businesses are. So if I had 30 different wholesale places, conventions, exhibitions, and one day one doesn't sell anything, but the other ones do, it's the multiplier effect.
Still a plus.
It's like you have 30 stores. If you only make $1 a day from each store, or $10, 30 times $10 is. It's like people who have buildings, apartment buildings. They have hundreds of apartments. They make the rent from each apartment. That's how some people get rich in California.
What's next? What are your plans for the future?
No, I'm retired. I'm traveling. I'm my bucket list. I don't want to go through what I did before. Doing a business is very difficult, and I don't want to do that anymore. I'm just like, I like to travel, and I do Airbnb, and I dabble here and there. If I actually have a T-shirt business too. I have also a real estate business, but they're not. I'm not going to work 60 hours a week or 80 hours a week like some of these people do, and they make millions of dollars and they don't enjoy themselves. That's one thing. I believe in enjoying myself now.
I understood. Thank you very much for
Okay.
the story. Have a nice time.
Okay.